Recording. All right, we are here. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, I think it is. Yes, that is correct. It's October 27th. My name is Matthew Hagan. I am one of the co-founders of the Accounting Alchemy Network. And for those of you who know the drill, today is a Lyceum. This is a special Lyceum. And we've got a guest with us who's going to talk a bit about himself. We'll find out more about Harvey in just a moment. But before we talk about and introduce our guest today, a few reminders. The Accounting Alchemy Network is here to help accountants transform the world. We do that through various means. We have our Lyceums where we invite guests to come in and talk about critical issues that are important to the accounting industry, things like climate action, racial equity, creating great company cultures, etc. And then we also have other events. We've got our social forum, which many of you at this point have perhaps attended. Last month, we had a follow-up as a result of the QuickBooks Appy Hour gathering. I should say, technically, QuickBooks was a sponsor, not the lead organizer. Heather and Liz did a brilliant job bringing together some of the educators in the industry to really inform them and inspire them to get together and do great things. So anyways, we're doing a lot of awesome stuff. So if you are aware of what we're doing and you're part of the community, please invest some time in engaging in some of the social media posts. We've got great content coming up on the Facebook wall. We also are on LinkedIn. So please choose your social media platform. Please be a part of the conversation. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Ingrid, to introduce our speaker today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Matthew. I am super, super stoked about today's Lyceum because we get to talk with Harvee Pene, who was introduced to Matthew and I a handful of months ago, actually shortly following our interview that we did with Masami Sato of B1G1. After that great conversation with Masami introduced us to her partner, Paul Dunn, whom many of the accountants on this call may know as the author of many accounting books and those sorts of things, including Firm of the Future with Ron Baker. He and Ron have another book coming out, I think just next month. So there's another book launch coming up. And Paul was like, you guys need to know Harvee, and introduced us. And I'm so glad that he did, because Harvee, you are doing amazing things in Australia and all over the world with B1G1 and rolling out some amazing tools for how accounting professionals can really use those tools to give back to the world. So I would love it if you can maybe kick us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we'll get into this amazing book that you have coming out. I hear that there might be a video we get to watch.
That sounds good. Thanks, Ingrid. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Paul Dunn, for the introduction. Paul Dunn's universally known as the godfather of the accounting industry, but accidentally one day I introduced him at a conference as the grandfather of the accounting industry. And ever since then, he's never really let me up about it. But I'm very happy to be here. It's about noon here in Australia, and it's an exciting time that we're living in, a time where I believe that happiness is the new rich, that inner peace is the new success, a world where health is the new wealth. I hope that kindness is the new cool. And the theme that we're talking about today is that we're living in this time where doing good is the new great. And so my context for living true to this mantra is that I spent the last 5 or so years running an accounting firm here in Australia called Inspire. And we became a standout firm that was twice recognized as one of the top 100 companies in Australia, simply because we embedded doing good, being an accounting firm on purpose, an accounting firm that lived true to our values. We were able to stand out because we stood for something bigger than ourselves. And so our connection to Paul Dunn and Masami Sato and B1G1 is that it was through the giving platform of B1G1 that we're able to actually implement the giving. And so, Ingrid, we're really well known for a giving initiative that we created called Day for Dollar. And it was a public giving pledge to pledge that for every $1 in tax that we would save our small business clients at the time, we made a pledge to give a day of access to food, water, health, or sanitation to a family in need. And the core of that giving philosophy was that, as accountants, we change lives every day. And measuring tax savings was this recognition that we changed the lives of family members who are on the other side of our advice. And then making a pledge to give a day of access to food, water, health, and sanitation to families in need saw us being able to make a difference to families on the other side of the world. So I'm very grateful to the amazing work you both are doing and what Paul and Masami helped us do with Beyond G1 to not just have this desire to want to do good as an accounting firm owner, but really have a platform or a way, a how to actually implement that giving. So that is who we are.
That's brilliant. I'm really looking forward to learning a bit more about that how. I'm guessing that's what the book's about, is the how. Is that correct?
Totally. So I'm grateful to have transformed the accounting firm Inspire from what was in the beginning, Ingrid, a pretty standard accounting practice. We were turning over 200K revenue. We were doing timesheets like most firms do. And over the next 6 years, I transformed it into a firm that was turning over $2 million in recurring revenues. And that gave me the ability to sell Inspire, to retire. And now I work with the accounting industry as a whole, helping them to stand out, helping them to stand for something bigger than themselves. And so, yeah, the key ideas that I'm sharing today is my story as an accounting firm owner and how we did good, but it's the intention is to inspire those listening to embed more good into what they do. And I think maybe one of the coolest ways to do that is to show some of the practical ways that we started embedding giving into our firms. And is it okay if I just share a video, Ingrid, of
Brilliant.
kind of how
Yeah,
we went,
let's dive into the
we went
video. I
live?
love it, love it, love it. Thank you.
Pleasure. So the context is that we came across B1G1, and for those who don't know, it's a giving platform that helps any business, but an accounting firm especially, be able to embed doing good into everything that it does. And so we found the trigger of measuring the tax savings that we made for our clients as, that's something good that happens internally in our firm. And then we were able to connect that to a micro giving impact through B1G1, which is, in this case, giving access to water for a day. So, arguably all of those decisions are like internal decisions to, like, let's call it sign up to B1G1 or make a giving impact or a pledge to do good. But the huge opportunity that we have as accountants is to articulate those values, to communicate our commitment to doing good in the world, so as to inspire the business owners around us. And so we created this video when we first came on board with B1G1 as our sort of public pledge or public commitment to doing good. So let me just play that and we can get your reaction to it. Last year, we were invited to head over to Necker Island to spend some time with Richard Branson and a number of other business owners. It would have been an amazing opportunity to spend 10 days there, surrounded by business owners who are real game changers in each of the industry. The premise of the week was to be able to come together, find ways that we could use our business to do more good in the world.
We run Inspire, an award-winning accounting firm, and we help young families use their small business to achieve big goals. As accountants and business owners, we love crunching numbers, but recently we've found some numbers that make us pretty sad. 663 million people in the world currently go without access to water every single day.
We figured that the opportunity that is Necker Island would be there for some time. But for the 1.7 million people in Malawi who are at risk of disease and even death, all for the lack of access to some safe, clean drinking water, there was really no time to lose. And so we thought we could make more of an impact by heading to Malawi than we could by going to Necker Island.
So inspired by our friends at Thank You, we are launching the Give 1 Million Days campaign.
Give 1 million days is a bold and audacious giving target for Inspire to give 1 million days worth of access to life-changing water to families in need. And we're launching it here today on World Water Day.
Why 1 million days? Well, we've just turned 4 years old and we want to do something big. And we know big dreams do come true. Last year, we aimed to save our clients $500,000 in tax and we ended up hitting $1.26 million.
The coolest thing is, when we reach our goal of giving access to 1 million days of life-changing water, we're going to hit the ground in Malawi and we're going to bring you with us via video to see firsthand the impact that we're making. So don't forget to like our Inspire Facebook page and sign up to the Give 1 Million Days mailing list for regular campaign updates and tips on how to pull more money, time and happiness out of your business. Together we can change thousands and thousands of lives, both here and with our family in the developing nations. So, on behalf of all the people we're going to be impacting by your support of Inspire, we say thank you. Curious, what's your reaction?
It's
to
brilliant.
that video, Ingrid?
I love it. Well, and Alina is typing in the chat, amazing mission, and with the little clappy emojis. So
Thank you, Lena. That's so cool. Interestingly, that's the type of reaction that we received regularly from both prospective clients who were thinking about changing accountants, from existing clients who we were hoping would stay with us, and most importantly, from potential A-class team members who we were able to attract to our business because our values aligned with theirs. So it's very nice to receive your reaction and really reconfirm this idea that when an accounting firm puts its values out there in the market, those values are attractive. They're like a magnet. And we used that magnet, and so too can you, to attract the team members, the clients, and also the profits that we all deserve. So thank you for the feedback.
yeah, and I think that's so important. So one of the things that we're trying to do with the Accounting Alchemy Network is really start to demonstrate what is the old unsustainable paradigm that we're trying to move away from, the old narrative of money and finance that is extractive of our planet, exploitative of our people, not working for us. What is the new regenerative paradigm that we are trying to create? And what is the pathway from the old paradigm to the new paradigm? And how can we demonstrate how a regenerative accounting firm can outperform unsustainable accounting firms who are still going about things the old way, and you know, really focusing on personal extractive profits rather than purpose-based, bigger picture, how can we use money to support each other? You know, how can we value life, and not just human life, but the life of our planet over our bottom line and financial goals? And what does that look like to have that kind of heart in business? And I feel like this is a perfect opportunity, Harvey, to hear your story along creating some of those shifts.
Totally. Well, congratulations, first of all, on having that drive and desire. It isn't just yourself who's reflecting this. There's a huge movement globally of well-known, respected leaders, such as the founder of Virgin, famously, who said that there's never been a more exciting time for us all to explore this next great frontier. Like you described, Ingrid, the switch from the old way to the new way, where the new way is this exciting place where the boundaries between work and higher purpose are merging into one. And where doing good actually really is good for business. And I know in my experience, when I shifted the focus from, you know, how can we make as much income as possible to how can we make as much impact as we could, ironically, the income came more frequently than when we just focused on income alone. Similarly, when we focused on just, you know, profit, how much profit could we squeeze out of this business that we owned, which was an accounting firm, to how much could we use this business as a platform to express our purpose? Because at the end of the day, as accounting firm owners, our businesses are simply just a vehicle to express our own values, express our own purpose, and to be that vehicle that reflects what is otherwise some internal philosophies, values, and motivations. And if I can tell you, maybe share the next story, what happened after we launched this video that we just saw about the Give 1 Million Days concept? Well, like I said, we formalized our giving impact by telling the world that we'd made this pledge to do more good. And as promised, we said we would go there firsthand to see some of the impact that we were making in various countries. So my business partner at the time, he went to Malawi, and I went to Cambodia. And Ingrid, is it okay if I just take everyone there briefly and virtually right now?
Please go for it.
It was a result of this pledge to give a day of access to food, water, health, or sanitation to a family in need for every dollar in tax that we proactively save in small business. And so that gave us a vehicle or a platform to do good, but we wanted to kind of see firsthand some of the impact and the difference that we were making through this giving pledge. And I think that's really crucial for us as accounting firm owners who are doing good, to be as connected as we can to the real difference that we're making, both with clients on the other side of the advice we give, and families on the other side of the world who are recipients of this impact. So we went to Cambodia. That's my wife, Sarah, next to me, and two of our kids. And we went to Cambodia because sadly, Sarah's the first of her family to ever return back to Cambodia ever since they escaped the bloody civil war years ago. And as parents, we wanted to show our children that they already live in Disneyland just by being born here in Australia. And I think some of the parents might, who are tuning in, might be able to relate to that. And so the gift that we can give our children is to show them how lucky they are, and to teach them the spirits of giving and giving back. And so these kids took their own money and they bought their own toys and they gave those gifts to other children. And these are the life skills that we all have the privilege of sharing with those around us. And Ingrid, it was B1G1 who was the mechanics, how we were actually able to make those giving impacts. And what's incredible is that you can give, or we can give somebody or family like this access to water, life-changing water for a day, for as little as 1 cent US. Now, I recognize that globally the world is going through and has gone through some pretty trying financial times. But I'm sure that all of us can find the capacity to give at least 1 cent. And that's what I love about the B1G1 platform is how accessible doing good is for all of us, no matter what stage of our financial or business or giving journeys. And so we went to see some of these projects and like literally install some of the wells and some of the filtration systems that we had been funding in the previous years. And the final photo I just want to share with you from this little trip to Cambodia was the photo that really changed my life, because we went to see firsthand the conditions in which some of these kids were living. And if this was in Australia or Switzerland, where you are, Ingrid, or Matt in the DC area, and there were children living in a property in these areas, animal rescue would come and protect the children and put you as the parents or the owners of this property in jail for neglect. And yet this is where many kids call home. And the thing that really moved me from this photo was I took my nephew Ruben, because I wanted him to see the real world, the whole world, and realize how lucky he is, how he belongs to the 1% who's won the human lottery of life. What blew me away with Ruben is at the time he was 10 years old, and so too was this little boy. And the thing that really moves me about this photo is that one of these boys won the human lottery just by virtue of where he was born. And this injustice that I saw, and this injustice that we're all looking upon right now, has moved me, and I hope moves us all, to realize that when we find ourselves blessed financially, it's not time to raise our own personal standard of living. But I think it's our opportunity to raise our own personal standard of giving. And that's my motivation to do what I do, working with the accountants to help them to do more good, not just to their clients and their team members, but to their local communities and globally. And that's why I'm grateful to be in such good company with yourself, Ingrid and Matthew, because we share this common mission. And I articulate my mission is to give 1 billion days of life-changing help to families in need by 2030 to help end poverty. And as accountants and numbers people, we know that 1 billion is a big number, but I'm really proud to announce that as of today, accounting firms globally, through a giving initiative we can talk about today, have given over 27 million days of access to food, water, health, and sanitation to families in need in over 16 countries to help end poverty by 2030. So well done to everyone.
Wow. So clearly the impact is there, right? You shared that very, very well. And we saw pictures. And so thank you for sharing the story. And my curiosity is this, right? So Ingrid and I are I think often in conversations perhaps around how, and we mentioned this previously, how we would love to support firms operating from the old paradigm shifting into the new paradigm. And so yes, I'm inspired by this impact, and my curiosity becomes, okay, how did it really unravel inside of the firm? How did you get people excited about the initiative? How did that change things like your staff meetings or your marketing conversations, and or even the dialogue around the company culture? Like, give us sort of a look, if you will, to the inside of what actually had to occur for that to become the end result of what got created from this initiative.
Great question, Matt. And I think that's the beautiful opportunity that we have as accounting firm owners to communicate back to our team and our market and our clients and our prospective clients the impact and the difference that we make every single day. I'll give you a simple example of that, Matt. When we made a commitment, a mission in our accounting firm to shift from focusing on income, because my business partner and I had both come from accounting firms where the driver was timesheets. The driver was 6 billable hours a day and don't leave the office until you get your 6 billable hours. And so there was this intense pressure to basically bill time and make money. And that was our job description. It was our KPI. And we started our accounting firm to want to shift away from that sole income focus and shift towards this impact drive. And interestingly, when we stopped doing timesheets internally as an accounting firm, we shifted from pressuring our team members to perform to tapping into a much larger power, which was their natural passion, to wanting to do good, to wanting to change lives, both of their clients and of families in their local community and globally. And so part of what we did was made the effort to capture the stories of the impacts that we were making. And I'm going to use tax savings as an example, Matthew, because charity doesn't necessarily mean building a well in a third world country. We can make an impact as accountants today. And in fact, we are already making a difference every single day. What we took the time to do, which was really valuable for our culture, was to document and celebrate the various impact milestones. So on screen, you'll see one of the oversized painting or pictures that we had printed in our office to celebrate this milestone of reaching $3 million in proactive tax savings for our small business clients. And you can see the smiles on the faces of our team, right? Because we were connected into the difference that we were making every day as accountants. And what's beautiful about tracking our impact and showing up in the world with an intention to make an impact every day is that impact grows. And when our impact grows, so too does the power that each of these stories have. So at this next milestone, here is our team, a little bit larger, a little bit happier, celebrating the milestone of reaching $4 million in proactive tax savings for its small business clients. And so this was posted up on the walls in our offices. And you can imagine when our team members walked in to the office every day, they were reconnected to the bigger picture of the difference that they were making by showing up to work every single day. We've got 2 more milestone photos. This was still in the office. Here's us celebrating the next milestone, $7 million in tax savings for our small business clients. Again, you can see the size of the team grew because it attracted more high quality team members who wanted to be part of this mission that was more than just tax returns and financials. It was about making a real difference to our clients and to the world, transforming the world, like you mentioned, as the mission for the Alchemy network. And I'm really proud. When I retired and sold my share of Inspire, we'd reached a milestone of $10 million in tax savings. And we actually, at this photo, we couldn't even have the whole team in there because the team couldn't fit, and nor too could we contain the happiness and the joy that the team felt by actually making a real difference every day. I sold Inspire maybe 2-3 years ago now. I'm really proud. I checked in this morning. The team has reached a milestone of $22 million in total tax savings. And therefore, thanks to the Day for Dollar Giving Initiative, they've also given over $22 million, 22 million days of access to life-changing help to families in need. And the power of this impact just keeps growing and growing. And so, you know, if you put that into the context of someone here, I think Chris was someone who registered from Australia. So hi, Chris, if you're here. If Chris got a referral to a potential client who is thinking about changing accountants, Chris could introduce himself as an accountant, and that would be the standard practice. Whereas if Chris was doing good, like an example of what we were doing at Inspire, then Chris could show up in the market by saying, well, look, I'm Chris. We are accountants, yes, but we've made a commitment to changing lives, to making a real impact. So I'm really proud to share that as of today, we've saved our clients over $10 million in tax and counting. And we've also given over 10 million days of life-changing help to families in need in over 16 countries. Now, Matt, do you mind if I just ask you to role play for a second? If you were the prospective client, the client who was thinking about changing accountants, what do you think the reaction might have been to hearing accountants talking about the impact that he had made? I
would have expected that because it's me, right? But I think, you know, in all fairness, because this is world habit, but yeah, no, generally speaking, I would have been like, what? You know, and I think that's the common reaction, you know, Ingrid and I get even sometimes when we talk about the work that we do at the Accounting Alchemy Network. It's like, wait, accountants doing what? I thought you just filled out tax forms and made sure my books were correct. Like, isn't that all you do? Like, no. So yeah, I know. Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I felt, Matthew, when I was in public practice. I would ask business owners, I'd like, just curious, and you're allowed to tell me the truth. What's the first word that comes to mind if I were to ask you to describe your typical accountant? And what do you think they said?
Oh, geez.
Boring.
Yeah.
Respectfully, they said that to me
I've
hundreds of times. Yeah. And so here's both the problem and the opportunity. Number crunchers. Thanks, Gail. Accountants in general are perceived as boring, as number crunchers, as this little pigeonhole of, don't you just do this little insignificant tax form lodging processing thing? And if we want to grow our practice, if we want to grow our revenues, if we want to grow our impact, if we want to grow our profits, if we want to grow our teams, then we need a way to stand out. And when the standard is so low, the ability for us to kind of stand it is actually quite easy, because the second we go up to the market and start with our why, to say, well, look, I'm an accounting firm owner, but I just really want to make a difference in my clients' lives. That's why we get out of bed every morning. Then instantly you're going to stand out from, at least here in Australia, there's 13,000 accounting firms here in Australia that a prospective client can choose from. And so, you know, we know, who hasn't seen the famous TED Talk by Simon Sinek, to start with why. Conceptually, we know we need to start with why, but here's a very commercial reason to do so, because we will stand out, because we will attract the better type of clients, because our sales cycles will go down. Because like you mentioned, Matthew, when I spoke about my values or desires to do good as a business owner, it connected with your values or desires to do good, because we shared those common values, and like magnets do, they attract like-minded people. So Matthew and I would have been great client accountants to work with. Our dynamic would have been strong. And if Matthew happened to not give one damn about doing good, giving back, community spirits, B1G1, people in other countries or people who aren't doing as well as you, then just like a magnet can attract, it can also what? Detract or repel. And so the work that you guys are doing in helping giving accountants the confidence to kind of turn up the power of their magnets, to show up in the market true to their values, aligned to their purpose, and committing or publicly doing actions that live true to that philosophy, then ironically they just do better commercially. It doesn't just feel good because we're doing actual good, but it's commercially sound. We just had a comment through the chat box, a marketing masterclass there. Well, it's true. Marketing is just magnets. And the more magnets that we can put out there to attract the like-minded people, clients, team members, and profits that are out there, then the more we receive.
Perfect.
And B1G1, doing good, starting with your purpose, aligning to your values, are all just magnets that attract so much great things in our lives.
Yes, thank you. And then speaking of the comments, there are actually a couple of questions that came through. So I want to kind of rewind for a second and maybe tackle some of those questions. So one of them, the first one I'm seeing, if I'm not mistaken, Ingrid, is the one from Gail Perry here. The question is, how are the funds disseminated to people in need, and how is it tracked? So I'm assuming she's speaking about the B1G1 and how that's, so can you kind of give a little bit more detail around the transparency and the utilization of funds and how that works?
Totally. Gail, thanks for the question. I had a desire before B1G1 to do good. And so at the time, all I knew to do was to write a big check to a local charity and hope that it would do some good, which I'm assuming to agree it did, but I didn't really know. But that was the common way of giving. And then I met Paul Dunn and B1G1 and realized there was actually a new way of doing good, whereby instead of writing one big check to one big local charity here in Australia, B1G1 had gone through and addressed my biggest concern, which is how much of this money is actually going to go to people and projects in need. So B1G1 has these amazing systems and processes in place to vet the quality of these causes to ensure that they are worthy causes. They also promise that for every dollar that I give through the B1G1 platform, $1 will land and will be received by the worthy causes, the people who need it the most. And what's amazing about the transparency is that I could go onto the B1G1 platform. They've vetted hundreds of projects globally, and they've broken those projects down by country. So we have a natural connection to Cambodia, for example, because of our family there. It can break down the projects by the actual type of impact they make. So I was born blind in my right eye, for example. So I've got a personal passion to support projects that give people access to glasses, and they give operations to people who've had problems that I've experienced. But they also break down the projects by a framework called the United Nations Global Goals, the 17 global or sustainable development goals that the UN has inspired the whole world to get behind as a to-do list for mankind. And so one of my priorities in the global goals is number one, no poverty, because I was born into a poor family. My mum was 13 when she had my sister and 16 when she had me, and her mum lived under a bridge by the river. So we've got a really strong connection to poverty. And so I want to be able to help others who are experiencing those same challenges. And so again, B1G1 gives us the ability to give to projects that align to our own personal values. And I know with a peace of mind that 100% of what I give will go to those projects. I can see a map of where all my giving impacts have gone. I get updates from B1G1 from the worthy causes to see what progress has been made over the years. And I can also allow my team members, if I've made a commitment to say, well, look, this month we've got $1,000 to give to the B1G1 platform, I can create some space for my team to say, you get $100, you get $100, you get $100, and you've got an hour to go through the B1G1 platform and choose which projects that you want to support spend all the money and then come back as a team and let's share which projects we gave our $100 to and why. And oh my gosh, there's tears every time we had these giving morning teas, because our team members were able to make a difference, but more importantly, share the real difference they made, what projects they supported, why those projects were important to them, what their personal experience was. And it was a blast, thank you, Alina, because we were human beings who were allowed to and encouraged to live true to our purpose, because we are human beings first and we were accountants second. And our opportunity as accounting firm owners is to give our team members the ability to express themselves as true human beings. And interestingly, we tap into a more powerful motivation, which is their purpose, rather than just pressuring them to do timesheets and get a job done. So thank you, Alina and Gail.
That is so brilliant. And I love, so as you know, we've had Masami on before, and we've also had Steve Pipe on for a Lyceum conversation, and have talked a bit about B1G1 in the past. One of the things that I love that you are doing with your book is that you are making the B1G1 tools specific to accounting firms and giving an accounting firm specific rollout for how can you most effectively leverage these tools. Now, before we hop on to the next question, I just want to give a little bit of voice to the chat, because the chat is alive today. Thanks so much to Dina Martin. She says, I love that shift of focus to increasing impact instead of increasing income. And then Alina's saying, I love that too. It's been so easy to make an impact with B1G1. I know Alina hopped onto B1G1 after she and I attended our first Steve Pipe webinar about B1G1. And she was like, I'm all in. She hit the ground running and really kind of dove in with that. And so with that, Alina posted a great question in the chat. She says, Harvey, what is one of the most common challenges that accountants you work with experience when beginning to work with and making these changes in their businesses? And how do you approach these challenges?
Absolutely. Thank you. Sorry, was that Alina? Thank you, Alina. You're incredible. The biggest challenges that we faced and that I find that accountants face is that we have this strong social and industry pressure to be professional. The perception of accountants is that we should show up with, a suit and a tie and, be black and white and be professional and be, not personal. Like, we have our guard up against, here we are as chartered accountants, as professionals and implementers of the taxation system, which has been around for centuries. And so that's the standard industry that we're all in. And so to break with those standard norms of professionalism and to have the courage to show up in the markets as personal and real and human and authentic and heart-centered and heart-driven is difficult to do because it is not the norm. And that is the challenge. We've discussed that the benefit of doing it is that we stand out in the most amazing and brilliant ways if we find the courage to do so. But because it's not normal to do, it's difficult. So, practical example, Simon Sinek said to start with why. So a simple line that I used and that you might like to use as an expression of this if you align to it is, I would say, hi, my name is Harvee Pene. I'm the founder of Inspire Life-Changing Accountants. And here's my why line. We are numbers people, but we believe that family is number one. And I wanted to share that with you today, Mr. Prospective Clients, because we believe that the relationship between an accountant and their client is probably one of the most intimate you will have. Sometimes we know more about the business performance as your accountant than your own husband or wife will ever know about the performance. So the financial intimacy that we will experience together is really strong. And so we feel it's important to start with our why. We feel it's important to let you know up front why we do what we do, because we're looking for like-minded business owners who share those philosophies. And so before we get into what we do, I just wanted to get your reaction to that philosophy around, being numbers people, and that family is number one. And inevitably, you would take a sales conversation, which is, what's sales like? It's like, well, I want you to buy something, and you feel like you're being sold to. And we've taken all of that awkward energy out of the equation, and now we're just human beings having probably one of the most real and authentic conversations that they may have had in a very long time. And so it's refreshing, it's standout, it's surprising, and it's powerful, because then not only does that person become a client of yours, but they become an advocate of yours. They become a champion of yours, because, they'll go to a barbecue that night and say, oh, how was your day? Well, actually, you know what? This changed accountants today. Not only did they save me $12,567 in tax savings, but they're just real people. They talk to me like a human being. They communicate in English, and they do these incredible giving impacts where they're giving back and building charities and wells. Like, this is worlds apart from any accountant that I'd ever come across in my whole history. You've got to check them out. Like, at least just go and have a conversation with them, because you just won't believe what I'm feeling. So I encourage you to find the courage to show up as a human being, and you will stand out brighter than the standard average accountants out there.
Cool. I have two questions for you. One just came to me. So I'll share both of them, and then you can choose your own adventure and answer one or both or neither. It's your call, my friend. But the first question I had, I see the impact you're having on the world, or had on the world through the changes that you made and the initiatives of the firm. I can even feel, and I love that you shared the pictures, I can feel the enjoyment, excitement of the team, and inside I was like, oh my God, I want to join that team, which I can even bet, which to me is like, oh, okay, I see how that works, right? It's like a talent attraction. You want to go to the thing, it's the magnet, right? And so I'm seeing, and so I could, and therefore I could see how that would resonate with the clients. So my question is, okay, that's all amazing again and beautiful, but what did that do to you on a personal level? How has this journey sort of shifted your own narratives around who you are and what's important to you? And so that's the first question. And then the second question is really about the future, and maybe thinking about like, okay, so if you look back at your life in the next 15 years, 10 years, we'll use 10 as a good number, right? What is the complete impact you're hoping for as a result of your work today and over the next 10 years?
Beautiful question, Matt. And I want to share a personal moment or story that I think answers it. I hope. Today, you've heard some amazing stories about us being at the peak of our career. Richard Branson inviting us to Necker Island and winning awards, and top 100 companies in Australia, and growing impact and growing team. But it was as if in the business journey, as high as the highs were, so too were the lows low. And about halfway through the journey, Matt, I found a lump. I felt a lump in a part of my body where us men especially don't want to feel anything abnormal. I felt a lump in my left nut, excuse the talking about that subject in a professional open forum. And 2 days later, I was here in this hospital bed, having my whole world falling down on top of itself, because I was 31 at the time. I just started writing my first book, Cashed Up, which was a business card on steroids for the practice. We had just been named one of the top 100 companies in Australia. And I had literally just met my now wife, Sarah, who's in that photo. And so at 31, you feel invincible. And I thought I had my whole life ahead of me. And in this moment, this photo, I had to do a reconciliation. Now, I know as accountants, we're used to doing, zero-based reconciliations as an example, but this was a reconciliation of my life, thinking that if this was the end of the road for me, if this was the end of my life, would I be happy with what I'm leaving behind? And the the truth is that I lost a part of me on this operating table this day, a very important part of me and most men, but I also found a very valuable part of me, and that was my why, my purpose, my real reason why I get out of bed every morning. And I articulate that is to change lives. My purpose in life is to change lives, my own life, my family's, my team, my clients, my communities, and hopefully the lives of people that I may never get to meet. And so my question to you is that if today was the last day of your life, what would you be happy with what you're leaving behind? And what's interesting is that it is a question about legacy. And Paul Dunn once told me that we don't get a choice as to whether we leave a legacy or not. It's just whether it's one that we are proud of. And so I'm really grateful to be here today because it's an expression of me living true to my purpose. And when we live a life aligned to purpose, there's so much more power that's unlocked, so much more impact. You can hopefully feel the energy inside of me because I'm doing I'm aligned to purpose. Whereas if you see me doing the washing, for example, that's not aligned to my purpose. I'll begrudgingly do it, and it doesn't have the same energy and it drains. And so if we can ask ourselves the question, why are we here? What motivates us? What is the true purpose, the true motivation, the true why behind what we are doing? Then we're going to unlock so much more power, so much more impact, so much more energy in our lives because it's aligned. And so now, for example, Matt, living true to my life's purpose enables me to show up in different ways. As a result of this, I started the journey to become a doctor. So I'm studying medicine right now. And that's just going to be Dr. Harvee Pene is going to be an expression of that ability to change lives. Another practical example of living true, I have Tuesdays off with my beautiful daughters, who are miracle babies, if you like, who remind me every day that life is precious. And that's another expression of that purpose to change lives. So I think maybe the biggest gift I can give from this cancer experience is the realization that one day we will all die. I hope I get the 10 years that you mentioned, Matt. But if we can use this time that we have, excuse the pun, but to inspire before we expire, then life's going to be incredible for ourselves, our family, our team, our community, and ultimately the world. So hopefully that goes to answer part of your question, Matt.
That is brilliant, Harvey. Thank you so much for sharing that powerful, personal, and inspiring story. And this is the culture that we're working to create here with the Accounting Alchemy Network, is a culture where we can pull off that professional veneer, recognizing that those limitations on our human connections with our teams, with our clients, those aren't serving us. Let's connect deeply and powerfully and personally and in human ways that actually create a rising tide that raises all ships, rather than shutting down the potential in those relationships. People are like, oh, well, I don't want to become too close of friends with my clients. Why on earth not? Why on earth would you not want another best friend and not want to help your friends with their finances? And let's create something bigger and more. And if professionals getting in the way of that, let's tear it down. Professionals not serving us well. So I want to acknowledge we've got just 10-15 minutes left in our call today, and I want to actually make sure that we get into the book. And so a couple of things really quick. One, I would love it if you can share with us your favorite spoiler. So something to tease our people watching today of this thing, watch out to this. What's your favorite part of the book? And also, Harvey, you've so generously offered to send the participants of our network, the ones who registered on this call, and also people catching the replay a copy of the book for free, up to 50 people. So for those watching the replay, you aren't missing out. If you're one of the first people to click the little link, and we'll stick it in the YouTube description, and we'll also stick it in the chat here, if you would please, Harvey, to just give your mailing information. Harvey is generously practicing what he preaches by giving, and he's giving back to us today. So thank you so much for that. And with
So very
that,
cool.
I want to hear what's your favorite part of this book coming out, and what is the release date? When's it actually coming out?
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm a huge fan of books because they enable us to leave a legacy. And I love this idea that in the future, my children, their children, my great-grandchildren will one day be able to read my books and to be able to get an idea of what their great-grandfather was like. And so I believe that all of us should try to document our ideas, our stories, our philosophies into a format that will outlive us all. That's the fancy legacy version of it. The practical marketing masterclass version of it is that when you are able to create a video or a podcast or a blog or an email or a book or a PDF of your strategies, your ideas, how you help people, then they're a really scalable way to that they're assets that are out there working for you every single day of the week. So I believe that every accounting firm owner should be an author. And I've published 15 books, and my 15th book, I'm really proud to have just launched for accountants, is this. It's called Be 1% Better Every Day. Not 10% better, not 100% better, just 1% better. And what's beautiful about this 1% idea is that we can make a huge difference with just a very small change to our business and to our lives. And what the book outlines is the surprisingly simple way that we accountants can make an extraordinary impact on our team, our clients, and the world, a lot of which we've shared examples of today. But the spoiler that I want to share with you today is a pledge that I want to inspire you all to consider making. And the pledge that is the core of this book is what I call Tip 1%. And it's a giving pledge that I'm inspiring accountants to make, to tip 1% of their time or their income or their profits for good, to end poverty, to do change, to make a difference in your local communities or abroad. And what's incredible about a pledge to just give 1% is that we can all afford to do that. It's not a huge amount, and yet from today's session, we're able to realize that it's actually the small things that make the biggest change. And so at a high level, being 1% better every day is a philosophy of continuous improvement. You all may have heard of the book by Charles Duhigg, who helped us accountants really connect to the mathematics of being 1% better every day, where if we commit to being 1% better every day for 365 days, we are 37 times better than when we started. That's the power of compounding. And so if we were to kind of use that same idea to realize that as a result of today, yeah, I do want to transform my world. And what is it going to take? Well, just 1% of my time, which of an 8-hour day is just 5 minutes, or of your income, which is handy because if you're just a small practice starting out, then 1% of a small amount is just a small amount. But the beauty is that when you grow over time, you become a larger practice, then that 1% will be of a larger amount, and so too will your impact compound. And we learned today that through amazing platforms, for example, B1G1, if we were to make that pledge to put 1% of our profits into a separate bank account, let's call it a purpose first bank account, or a philanthropy first account, and every month we were to see that there's $100, $1,000, $5,000 in that account, then we could use an amazing platform such as B1G1 to give the gift to our team to say, hey, we've got $1,000 in our philanthropy account this month. Let's all spend some time together. We'll divide the money up amongst us and have a discussion around how we've spent on given our giving impacts, and more importantly, why we chose the projects that we did. And it's a huge power of small, but if you think back to the day that you were born and you see yourself in those early family pictures, you realize that that's you. And you fell over and you got up immediately because you knew you could walk. And if you just think for just a few split seconds that all the trillions of changes that you had made to get to that point where you can now walk. Now, you were, and hopefully you still are, the person who recognized that change doesn't come because you ran a marathon. It comes because you took your first step. A 1% step or a 1% pledge to tip 1% of your time, income, or profits, hopefully, that led to a compounding goodness knows what number that would be a huge multiplier of change. So even if you're willing to make that pledge by typing the letters 1% into the chat box today, then this begins this journey of compounding, not just the good that you can do in your own life, but into the lives of people that you may one day never get to meet.
We have a slew of 1% popping into our chat right now. So awesome. That's so exciting to be like, everyone participating, and we've got hearts floating up the screen. This is such a great conversation today. So Harvee, do you have that link for us where the people participating today can grab that and make sure that you're posting it to everyone in the chat so that we can all see it?
I will. And in fact, I've got an idea if you don't mind. And do you mind if you just play one more video?
Yeah, go for it. We've got a couple minutes.
Thank you. Given that we've had so many people pledge 1%, well done, Alina. Thank you, Alexis. Good job. Oh, Ingrid and Gail. I've got a way to say well done, and a way to maybe lend my support to your pledge and making that a public commitment. I will, if you email me, harvey@lifechanging.accountants, and I'll type it into the chat box. I would love to create a tip 1% pledge video for you as my gift. I'm going to show you this video now. It's a video that we create for accounting firms who have made the pledge that you have just made. Ingrid, can you see my screen that has a big 1% logo on it?
Yes, it's all good to go.
Thank you. I'm going to show you one of the videos that we created for one of the accounting firms who've made the pledge to tip 1% and to be 1% better every day. And if you want us to create this video as a gift for you, email me, harvey@lifechanging.accountants, and it will be my gift. You would have to voice over your voice and your heart. Let me play with you the video that you will have the ability to play with your audience, your market, your team, and your clients. And I'd love to hear your reactions.
As accountants, we're saddened by the fact that even today, almost 1 billion people still live in extreme poverty. And so we've been crunching the numbers to see what it will take to bring that number down to zero. Did you know that earning just $50,000 profit per year in a business puts you in the top 1% of the world's population? So what if instead of giving a lot later, we could each give a little now? That's exactly the giving initiative we use at Sum Total Accounting and Business. As life-changing accountants, we realise that we are lucky to belong to the 1% of humanity who have effectively won the lottery of life. And that's why we, with joy, tip 1% of our time, income, or profits, TIP, for good. And we inspire our clients to tip 1% as well. We do this so that alongside the hundreds of other life-changing accountants globally, together we can give 1 billion days of life-changing help to families in need to end extreme poverty by 2030. You see, the truth is, businesses who do good do better. So if you want your business to be more profitable, your employees to be more engaged, and your brand to be more valuable, all while making a real difference in this world, you can by tipping just 1%.
So I'd love to hear your reactions to that. And just to reconfirm, my gift to all those who have made the pledge today, our team usually charge 500 plus to create that. But I'd love to do it for you as a thank you and as a reward for making your commitment today. All the mechanics would be is we'd need your logo and your beautiful voice, and maybe a few photos that would supplement the video itself. And that would give you a tool like we had with our Give 1 Million Days initiative to pledge to our market and our world, the huge heart that we all have and the commitment that we've made to transform our world. So I'm just going to type through my email.
So
in the chat
brilliant.
box.
So we had all the great emojis floating up the screen. Alexis posted in the chat, I love this so much, such a great message and so clearly and compassionately said. Alina says, brilliant. Matthew says, love it. Thank you so much for the link to where we can get your book, and thank you for your email address. I love that you got life-changing accountants. That accountants is a thing now.
Made it a thing. So good.
So fantastic. And with that, we are just past the top of the hour. It is officially 2 a.m. here in Switzerland, where I'm visiting my aunt. I'm currently broadcasting from my aunt's basement in Freinville, Switzerland.
So cool.
Yeah, we covered the time zones today with Matthew on the West Coast and Harvey in Australia and me in Europe. Like we're all over the map. So yeah. Thank you so much, Harvey, for joining us today for this amazing and touching presentation. This has been such a fantastic spotlight. Alina says, amazing conversation. So much. Thank you so much for your time and uplifting energy.
Pleasure.
Any final
Thank you,
thoughts
Alina.
from you, Matthew?
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, thank you. I'm like super inspired. I loved your story, and you make it feel easy, which I think is really important. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. So I appreciate your contributions. And for those of you who are watching the replay, you know, if you're inspired by something that was shared, if you're curious about something that was discussed today, please leave a comment, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, whichever platform you're watching the replay on. We really want to hear from you. You know, we have such amazing content moving through this space, and as the organizers and the facilitators, and you know, we really love the feedback too. So if you'd like more content like this, please let us know. And with that, Ingrid, I'm complete. So back to you if there's anything else.
I think we're all set. Any final thoughts from you, Harvey?
1% of a workday is about 5 minutes, but over a year, that's 20 hours. Reading 20 pages per day is about 30 books per year. Saving $10 per day is what, $3,650 per year. So small habits are underestimated, but together we can literally transform the world. So thank you, Ingrid.
Brilliant. Love it. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining and watching. We'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye.